Well, the holidays might be over, but we are waking up to a winter wonderland. A thick blanket of snow covering the state capitol this morning and much of the rest of the state. Good morning, I'm Kermit Miller. Welcome to this special Saturday edition of KRCG 13 Live at Sunrise. We are here this morning to track this first major snowfall of 2019. We do have team coverage for you this morning. Our crews have been out in the snow, many of them throughout the night. They are tracking the latest conditions in neighborhoods across mid-Missouri. We will hear from each of them in just a moment. But first, the person everybody wants to hear from right now, KRCG 13 Chief Meteorologist Zach Paul. Zach, you've been watching this storm for days. Many areas have already received a foot, and I guess it's not stopping anytime soon.
No, it doesn't look like it's going to stop for at least several more hours. Yeah, you're right. Many of you waking up this morning with a foot or more of snow. Others, not nearly as much. The lake area right now still only has a few inches of some snow. But this time last night, they barely had anything. So again, a lot of us waking up to a bit of a shock here this morning. Here's a live look across the city of Columbia. You can see some of the branches on the trees weighted down with a lot of the heavy snow that's on there. And some of those snow totals that I've been able to find from you on social media tonight are this morning through even the National Weather Service. Columbia Regional Airport, 14.5 inches of snow. In fact, they set on Friday a daily snowfall record of over 10 inches of snow. And again, many of us here this morning well over that. Others not nearly as much, but still some significant snow from Holt Summit to Brazito, even California, 8 to 9 inches of snow. In a few areas we're approaching 14. But again, this is a significant snowfall, and it's been a while since we've really seen this kind of snow. In fact, the last 10-inch snowfall we had was going back to February of 2013. The last 12-inch snowfall was the Groundhog Day blizzard in February of 2011. Now, the greatest 24-hour period of snowfalls, just under 20 inches. I think we'll stay shy of that record, but I do think a few areas could approach this 17-inch mark between now and the time all this snow wraps up. We're still under winter storm warnings. In fact, now this one has been adjusted for Audrain County and Boone County, Cole County, the Columbia, Jefferson City area down through Lynn and Fulton, east into St. Louis. This now extended into 6 a.m. Sunday morning. You head west of there and down to the lake. These are still looking to expire at midnight on Sunday. We had a moderate band of some snow move through overnight. That's impacting the St. Louis metro area now, or just to the west of the St. Louis metro area. Some lighter snow here across parts of central Missouri, but still a decent clip of that reaching the ground, and another moderate band of that out around the Sedalia area south to Warsaw. But notice there's a couple more dry pockets just to the south and west of the lake. So we will not find a steady downpour of snow, so to speak, here today. We will find some lighter amounts. Temperatures right around 32 degrees. In fact, even seeing a little bit of light rain showing up on the radar around Fort Leonard Wood. And Futurecast hints that some of that may creep a little bit to the north here today through noon. Possibly a little bit of a rain-snow mix for areas around the lake to Fort Leonard Wood over towards Vichy and Vienna, and south towards Rolla. North and east, still looking for some light to moderate snowfall as we go through the day today. That'll continue through the evening hours. Here's the early part of the evening hours. Some still light rain along I-44 mixing with some of that snow. But notice we do have those dry gaps they're going to play in. So the lake area, I don't think we'll see nearly as much snow today as, say, in areas north of I-70, where an additional maybe 5 inches of snowfall is going to be possible there. A lot of the snow still going to wrap up here sometime late tonight into the early morning on Sunday, and I still think we're going to continue to find a few flurries even as we go through the day tomorrow. Again, total snow accumulation for a lot of the area could reach 13, 14, 15, even 16 inches. Lesser amounts where we've seen that possibility for some rain and even a little bit of a later start on that snowfall accumulation. Now, again, here's that range. Most areas are going to be between 6 and 12. The highest I think we'll find is 16. And there's still some on the low end down around the lake that may only see 3 to 4 inches of snowfall total. If you're getting out and about on the roads today, it's going to be slow going, not only between today and tomorrow, but I think this will last through at least Sunday afternoon, if not into the evening. We'll continue to find some steady snowfall today and even some power outages. Something we noticed overnight tonight is that we have had a few isolated power outages due to the weight of the snow. Again, it's that wet, heavy snow, and that has led to a few isolated problems across parts of the area. So if you are getting out and about today or have to do any traveling, it is discouraged, but if you do, you can keep up with the weather on our Weather Authority app. Your 7-day forecast keeps colder temperatures in as we get into the weekend. We could see the 20s tomorrow morning, and that could bring a little change in the way of some freezing rain. Otherwise, we will find more sunshine building in the next week. Temperatures returning to the 40s with some significant melting, but I think this snowfall is going to last through the middle of next week. We're going to head to Columbia. Elise Smith is standing by to show us what's going on in Columbia.
Good morning. I am live in Columbia this morning, and the snow has not let up yet. That's probably why it might look a little foggy. The snow is coming down hard, and the impact from the snow, they're not over yet. But what I have done here is I've brought a temperature gun with me because the road temperature is going to be crucial as we go on throughout the day. So I tried to unshovel a patch of snow here from the road, and I've been consistently seeing readings at about 28 to 29 degrees. So as this snow falls and gets compacted into the asphalt, it could freeze. So even if roads might look clear or not snow covered later in the day or tomorrow, we could be dealing with some patchy ice, not only on bridges and overpasses, but also on roads. So again, we are advising you not to go out today if you don't have to be out on the roads. But if you do venture out, just remember the 3 S's. Take it slow, be safe, and also take it steady. You will want to do that as you head out on the roads. But again, we are still going to find snow here for hours. Zach said we could see even about 3 to 5 more inches of snow, which is likely with all the snow that's coming down now. But we are going to be monitoring these conditions with several reporters in the field today. So for now, I'll send it back in the studio to you guys.
All right, Elise, thank you. This storm just won't move on. We want to continue our team coverage right now. Lexi Petrovich is live in Jefferson City to tell us how conditions have held up there through the night. Lexi?
Road than we did even an hour ago. And I spoke with a MoDOT crew member that I actually drove with last night on the snowplow, and he says it's been really difficult to keep up with the snow throughout the night. He says it got really bad around 2 a.m. and then again around 4 a.m. and he doesn't expect it to let up anytime soon. I then asked him what his plan was moving forward and how they plan to handle this snow, because it is more than they had anticipated early on, and he says they've pretty much maxed out their crews so far, and this is what they have and what they're working with. He says they're going to do their best, but for now, it makes their jobs easier if you guys are off the road, staying safe indoors. Reporting live in Jefferson City, Lexi Petrovich, KRCG 13.
Officials at Columbia Regional Airport say everyone is safe after a passenger plane veered off the runway yesterday afternoon around 2:30 Friday. An American Airlines flight from Dallas-Fort Worth with 80 people on board landed safely at the airport. But while exiting the main runway there, the nose gear left the pavement and the plane got stuck. No one was hurt, and because of the storm conditions, the airport was forced to cancel all inbound and outbound traffic on Friday afternoon and evening. We will keep you advised on changes in that status. Heading back out live now to continue our team coverage of this weather. Hannah?
Kermit, yeah, that's right. I'm here in Columbia, just off the Grindstone overpass, just about to head 63, heading into Jefferson City. And as you can see, there are cars that are heading out and venturing into these snow-packed roads, but we are advising people to stay inside. I actually spoke with MoDOT crews today and the Columbia Public Service, and that they say that they are working really hard to make sure all of these roads are cleared. But the main problem we are seeing here in Columbia is the fact that they are not going to be able to get those side roads and your neighborhood roads clear in time for you waking up this morning. So they are saying make sure you stay in. It could be as late as tomorrow morning until they reach those side and neighborhood roads. They say that their main focus right now are the main routes like where we are at right now. And although we've seen many snowplows hitting this area, it is still snow packed here and covered and very slick. We've seen multiple people sliding off right over into the intersection right there. So if you are heading out, make sure you are staying safe. We also have a list of school closures that are being updated online as they come into the station. So if you are wondering if your kids are going to have school on Monday or if you are going to have a church service tomorrow morning, you can find those listed on KRCG13.com. We will continue to cover this snow into the day and into tonight, into tomorrow, and even into next week. We have reporters live in the field. I'll send it back to you in the studio for now. Reporting live in Jefferson City, Hannah Knowles, KRCG 13.
All right, Hannah, thank you. Well, just because you stay home doesn't mean nothing bad can happen. Thousands of people in Columbia are waking up this morning without power. That's according to Columbia Water and Light's website. A map of electrical outages shows several different sections shaded by different colors outlining the areas impacted. Right now, Water and Light reports about 5,300 customers without power. The affected areas are citywide along U.S. Highway 63 on the eastern side of the city, and several thousand more in other areas to the west along Forum Boulevard and in the Chapel Hill neighborhood. Officials believe a large tree is to blame for that outage. It fell on power lines late Friday afternoon, which then, according to those who live nearby, sparked a brief fire. It is a similar story not too far away along West El Cortez Drive. Utilities officials reported 2 large trees down on power lines there, falling shortly before midnight. Columbia Water and Light's map shows several hundred customers losing power as a result. Crews have been assigned to fix the poles in these areas. No time frame though of how long that could take. We now go to KRCG 13's Garrett Bergquist. He joins us live from Jefferson City to show us how the major highways look in the capital city area.
Kermit, we're at the intersection of Missouri Boulevard and Highway 50 here in Jefferson City. The roads are looking somewhat better. We've seen a number of snowplows this morning, both from Jefferson City and from MoDOT. So in terms of snow depth, there's not a whole lot of snow on the roads, but there's a thin layer of snow that goes all the way across the surface. So if you see on the MoDOT traveler map that a road is marked covered, they're not kidding. It is completely covered in snow. I drove down here earlier this morning on Highway 54, and it was fairly slow going. I had to drive about 35 miles per hour or so just to maintain traction, and this is on a stretch of road that normally has a speed limit of 70 miles an hour. So obviously, if you don't have to be anywhere, definitely stay inside because the roads are still quite treacherous. Again, the snow is not quite as deep on the roads as it was because the plows have had a chance to get out and clear some of that off, but it's still quite slick outside. And then also with the snow coming down, I can tell that visibility is quite a bit less, although now we've got some daylight that's not quite as bad as it was during the overnight hours. So we're going to continue to monitor road conditions throughout the day. We're going to keep you updated later in this newscast and throughout the day on our website, krcgtv.com. For now, reporting live in Jefferson City, Garrett Bergquist, KRCG 13.
Well, the winter storm is bringing out some folks that we haven't seen in a while, snow people. Take a good look here. This crew is smiling from us at Ashland. Ron titles his masterpiece as Snowpocalypse 19. The Peters family got together in Lynn to build a snowman much bigger than all of them combined. And Jack the snowman comes to us from just down the road from our station here in New Bloomfield already for some Kansas City football this afternoon there, I think. So be sure to share your weather photos with us by using Chime In. It's just a click on the Chime In tab on our homepage at the website, krcgtv.com. There you will be able to send us your weather pictures. And you never know, you might just end up like those folks you just saw with your photos on air. Well, as MoDOT focuses on clearing highways through mid-Missouri, the snow continues to fall all the way to the east this morning. KRCG 13's Elizabeth Hoffman joins us from Highway 50 in Rosebud, Missouri. Liz, how are the conditions there?
Good morning, Kermit. It's a beautiful morning here in Gasconade County. Yeah, this is Highway 50 in Rosebud, Missouri. And I tell you, we just measured the snow, and it's about 5 inches. That was just a little bit ago. And obviously, that is not the final measure, as snow here just continues to fall. Now, again, this is Highway 50 behind me. You can see not a lot of traffic here. There have been a few cars that have went by, and they have just inched by at that. And so what we're finding is that people here in Gasconade County are taking the advice of both MoDOT and the Highway Patrol, and they are staying indoors. And Kermit, let me tell you, it's a great day to just stay inside, maybe look out the window and enjoy the beautiful view. And as you can see, MoDOT is hard at work right now, keeping our highways clear for us. We'll be back in the show later to have more updates on this winter storm. But for now, I'm live in Rosebud. Elizabeth Hoffman, KRCG 13.
The Missouri State Highway Patrol has released its storm call total through the night. As of midnight, troopers said they had received more than 450 calls for service, responding to nearly 160 motor vehicle crashes, and they were notified of nearly 250 vehicles that had slid off the road. Troopers say they know of 6 people with possible injuries. Fortunately, no fatalities. Now, much of those calls suspected to have come in from the St. Louis area, where the snow is heavy. The weather caused significant backups across the state last night. This is St. Louis. Traffic there at a standstill, bumper to bumper for hours due to multiple crashes. And just a mess for people driving through. You can take a look. Sections of I-70, I-64, I-55 all turned into parking lots at various times. I-64 eastbound closed for a substantial period of time. There are dozens of cars and drivers that are still stranded this morning, and at least 80 flights out of Lambert St. Louis International Airport were canceled, with more snow expected today and more cancellations today. We take a live look now at MoDOT's traveler's map. As you can see, the majority of roads in the northern 2/3 of Missouri colored in purple. That means those roads are snow covered. You can keep an eye on road conditions by clicking the MoDOT Traveler Map link on our live blog on krcgtv.com. We'll go back to Zach Paul after the break.
Hope you're having a good Saturday morning. Thanks for joining us on a special edition of KRCG 13 live at sunrise. You're looking live right now over the city of Jefferson. Our Scruggs Lumber Sky Cam shows the snow coming down across the capital city. High Street still has a little bit of snow cover sitting on top of it, and the bare tree is really making things a little bit easier on the tree itself, those branches, especially with when you compare that to what we're seeing in Columbia. You're getting a live look across Columbia, and those branches with the leaves and things still on them weighted down a little bit, and that's caused a few problems here into the overnight hours, where there's a few areas of power outages across central Missouri. As far as snowfall totals, again, we're finding waking up this morning anywhere between 8 to about 14 inches of snowfall on the ground already. Versailles here just under 8 inches, Calwood just under 13, and various amounts from Hallsville to Herman, Jefferson City between 9 to about 12, and Columbia Regional Airport as of this morning at 6 a.m. had 14.5 inches of snow on the ground. Williamsburg just under 14, California and Fulton, Holt Summit, McGurk, again, significant snowfall all across the area, and we've got a lot more here that keep coming in, and I appreciate your reports coming in on social media. Put a post on Facebook if you want to share how much snow you have in your area. Head to my Facebook page and you can find that post right there at the top. Again, 10 to 12 inches across lots of the area. Lake Mikey here just down the road at 11 inches. Last time we had significant snow like this, you have to go back to at least 2013. We're in February. We picked up over 10 inches, just over 10 inches. But you go back to the Groundhog Day blizzard, that February 1st and 2nd event, most of that falling on February 1st with 17.5 inches of snowfall. And we're going to find, I think, a few areas that could get close to that here today. We've been under a winter storm warning now for almost 24 hours. For a few of us, this has now been extended. That includes Mexico, Columbia, Jefferson City, Lynn, Fulton East into St. Louis. This has been extended through 6 a.m. Sunday. West of there and down to the lake, still looking like it's going to be allowed to expire at midnight tonight. And same thing for areas in that winter weather advisory across southwest Missouri. Moderate snow moved through overnight. That's now moving into the St. Louis metro area. Still finding some of those moderate snowflakes falling across parts of Osage County and Gasconade County, where we just saw Elizabeth Hoffman out there. She's out in Rosebud. But back off to the west, down around the Warsaw area, notice we're seeing some drier conditions. Notice the gap between the precipitation. That's drier air that's building into the system. So that's going to help to choke off some of the snowfall that we get today. But I don't think we're done with snow. I still think we're going to get some to move in here a little bit later on. Notice temperatures, they're right around 32 degrees, and even around Fort Leonard Wood, we're seeing a little bit of rain starting to mix in with that snow, and that's creating a little bit of a warmer environment and possibly even a little bit of freezing rain nearby, especially just to the south of Fort Leonard Wood. Otherwise, everybody here right at 30 to about 32 degrees. Futurecast brings that rain line a little bit to the north, again, just south of Jefferson City, where we could see some rain mixing in with some snowflakes at time today, maybe even a little bit of sleet. I don't think we have to worry about freezing rain around here just yet, but that is a possibility as we look into your Sunday morning. Futurecast north of I-70, still looking to find some pretty significant banding here as we go through the late morning into the early afternoon. And as we get to the late afternoon, that colder air will continue to push south a little bit more as we continue to find a couple of these little dry pockets moving in. But I am anticipating another 3 to 5 inches of snow possible, especially for areas north of I-70. Near the lake area with the possibility for some rain mixing in, maybe only an additional 1 to 2, but you will continue to find a few snowflakes as we go through the day today. After 10 o'clock tonight, we will begin to find things winding down, but still looking for that little burst of snow as we get into your Sunday morning. That's why the advisory has been issued through 6 a.m. for a few of us, again, late tonight into tomorrow morning. The total amount of snow, this is unbelievable, the amount of snow that we've picked up. It's been a very efficient snowmaker. And again, already over a foot, and a few more inches are going to be possible. We could see a few areas touching 16 inches. Again, lesser amounts from Camdenton down to Fort Leonard Wood, where they've seen a little bit more in the way of rain. Most locations, again, 6 to 12 inches. The high side up to 16 inches of snow, and road conditions are going to be slow going as we go through the day here. Not only today, but I think that's going to continue into your Sunday. And again, that's led to a few isolated power outages as we have seen throughout parts of Columbia. Temperatures are going to be cold through the weekend as we dip into the upper 20s early Sunday morning. That's where that possibility of freezing rain may come in, but we will find some significant melting next week as we warm into the 40s.
All right, this snow has been falling from Denver. It will continue through places like Indianapolis and Columbus, and it will get heavier as it goes. We want to go back to Columbia for an update from Hannah.
Kermit, that's right. We have been continuing to monitor the road conditions here in Columbia. And as you can see behind me, it is a winter wonderland back there. The visibility is seeming to get worse. The snow is still coming down, and I think the sun rising now that it's lighter outside is why it looks kind of foggy back there. You really can't see very far down that road. As you can see, there are some cars down there. There have been multiple snowplows hitting these main snow routes this morning and making sure to clear the roads, but the roads are not necessarily safe. It is pretty slick out here, and they are pretty snow covered going along a Columbia area. I am here off the Grindstone overpass in 63, where we have seen cars trying to make it through the overpass and actually sliding out. I spoke with MoDOT, who tells me that they will be working around the clock to make sure that the roads are clear, but they are asking drivers to please stay home and stay off the roads if possible. This is a serious storm. As you can see, it has dropped a lot of snow. We are measuring right now here in Columbia around 10 inches, and we are only expecting more to fall throughout the day. We will continue to cover how much snow is hitting here in Columbia as well as around the areas, and we will be monitoring our road conditions as well as just tracking all the snow that is coming down. I don't know if you can see, but I feel like a snowman out here, and it's a great day if you are staying at home to stay warm and maybe go out and build a snowman. I'll send it back to you in the warm studio. Hannah Knowles, KRCG 13.
A treacherous drive throughout the region overnight, including the busiest highways at the interchange of Interstate 70 and Highway 54 in Kingdom City. Traffic much slower than usual as drivers took caution with what was then blowing snow. Minor accidents and vehicle slide-offs not uncommon throughout the evening because of low visibility due to that heavy falling snow. Travelers were forced to pull off and wait out the storm. We talked with one man who was traveling from Nebraska who did just that. The weekend snow has played havoc with sports schedules in mid-Missouri. As KRCG 13's Tony Mullen tells us, the winter weather also altered Mizzou's basketball travel plans.
Well, that's right. If Mother Nature allows, Mizzou's basketball game at South Carolina will take place one day late. The Tigers could not fly out of Columbia yesterday because of the weather, so they will not play the Gamecocks this afternoon as originally scheduled. The game has tentatively been moved to tomorrow, starting at noon Central Time. The team announced the postponement just before 5 o'clock on Friday. As we had reported, Columbia Regional Airport closed after a plane slid off the runway. The Tigers will reportedly fly out of Kansas City today. If they can't, the game could be moved again. Missouri will try to even up in SEC play after falling at home to Tennessee on Tuesday night. No hoops here last night, but OG Anunoby and the Raptors hosted Brooklyn Nets. The former Jeff City Jay got his first points in the second quarter. The pretty reverse two-hand jam, adding a three-pointer a few minutes later. Big second quarter. Toronto had an 11-point lead at half. Damari Carroll, the former Missouri Tiger, having a good season for the Nets, averaging over 10 points a game. Had 9 last night, including that three-pointer, but too much Toronto, too much OG Anunoby. He was 5 of 6 from the floor, 13 points in 22 minutes as the Raptors get the win 122-105. The snow will not stop playoff football in Kansas City today. The Chiefs will host a red-hot Colts team. KC just 1-11 in its last 12 playoff games. That includes 6 straight postseason losses at Arrowhead. And the Chiefs are also 0-4 all-time against the Colts in the postseason. But the players aren't too worried about previous playoff failures.
We're excited to go out there and show everybody what we got. I mean, everyone's kind of, I don't want to say doubting us, but bringing this history thing up and saying what they want about that. But we're excited to just go out there and be ourselves and show the world what we can do.
Yeah, put your best foot forward, and I mean, we know that. But at the same time, we're going to be ourselves. We're going to do what we've done all season long and try to execute at a high level and try to win a football game.
You know, the coaches and us as the players did a really good job of just going about our business as usual. Definitely be a little more butterflies on game day, but for us, it's just we go out and know what works for us and compete.
Mitch Morse, the former Missouri Tiger, he'll start at center for the Chiefs today. They will kick off a little after 3:30 in Kansas City. And that will do it for a special Saturday morning edition of Sunrise Sports. Stay safe and have a great day.
Hour for you on a Saturday morning as we cover all of that white stuff that you see outside your window this morning. We want to check in with meteorologist Elise Columbia with ruler in hand, I believe, Elise.
Good morning, everyone. I am here in Columbia, and I just saw a plow truck get towed away. So if that is not any indication to what we're dealing with here, I don't know what is. But today, MoDOT crews are going to be out making sure all the main roads are safe and good to go. So they might not get to neighborhood roads until tomorrow, but if you are headed out either today or tomorrow to either shovel any of the snow, we are dealing with a very heavy, wet snow. So make sure you are prepared to shovel because you will be shoveling the snow. There is a lot, as we are mentioning here. A lot has fallen, a lot is yet to come, but I have a tip for you if you are planning on shoveling your driveway before MoDOT comes in. The way they are shoveling, or at least clearing neighborhood streets, is that they want you to shovel all of your snow to the right of your driveway so it doesn't come back into your driveway, so you have to shovel it a second time. So if possible, if you have either a little snowmobile or a little if you're shoveling it, just make sure you keep it to the right hand side of your driveway looking at the street, so when MoDOT trucks come around it doesn't go back into your driveway and you'd have to shovel a second time. But snow is going to continue to fall today, so just hunker down, wait for all of this to pass, and tomorrow looks like a better day to shovel than today. But for now, I'll send it back into the studio, where here in Columbia we just saw a snowplow get towed away. So best not to go out today, guys.
Not real encouraging. We all can relate to being snowed in. Garrett Bergquist is keeping an eye on conditions in the capital city. Garrett?
At Kermit, we're starting to see more and more drivers out on the roads, but you're going to have to really watch it if you're outside. I'm going to step out of frame here to show you what you're dealing with on the main roads. This is Highway 50 through Jefferson City, the Rex Whitten Expressway. You can see that the snow isn't particularly deep, but it is completely covering the pavement. The plows have been out all morning. We've seen both MoDOT and City of Jefferson plows, but there is still a layer of snow and slush completely covering the road from curb to curb, and that of course is going to make things very slick. Now, when I drove down here earlier this morning, I took Highway 54 down from New Bloomfield. Same story. Not very deep snow, but snow all the way across the pavement. Now, if you're out on the side roads, it might be a different story. Old Highway 54 earlier this morning had not yet been cleared. Now, granted, that was a couple of hours ago, but my point is you could still see a couple inches of snow on the ground if you're out on one of those side streets. So bottom line, even though the plows have been out and some of the city streets here in Jefferson City, some of the downtown streets and some of the major highways are getting cleared, there's still a layer of snow and slush on the ground, so you're going to have to really watch it when you're out on the roads. Of course, officials say it's much better just to stay inside all day and just wait for the snow plows to complete their work and wait for this snow to pass. Reporting live in Jefferson City, Garrett Bergquist, KRCG 13.
Missouri city officials tell us that clearing sidewalks of snow is the responsibility of the property owner. They say it helps with both the safety and accessibility, while reminding the public that many people use walking as their primary form of transportation. Mexico Public Works Director Kenzie Russell told us that city tries to enforce the requirement without penalty.
We'll contact the property owner and work with them to try to get compliance. That usually is a better avenue than trying to enforce a ticket or a fine.
Now, if you want to know more about your city's code on this, you can go to our website, krcgtv.com, click on the article for this story. We've included links to the ordinances of all of the major cities in our viewing area. The thick, wet snow that we're seeing outside right now is also commonly referred to as heart attack snow. Doctors warn that if you're not in the best of shape and if you have a history of heart disease, it's important that you leave the job for someone else. Here's Mark Slavitt with more on that.
Emergency medicine physician Chris Sampson says the risk of a heart attack increases when you shovel snow. Sampson says if you are not used to heavy work in cold conditions, then you should have someone else shovel your snow.
People sometimes don't realize how exertional it can be to shovel snow, and they may not have done exercise for a very long time or may be very out of shape. And if you're shoveling large quantities of snow, it can put a stress on your heart. And hospitals actually see a rise in heart attacks around that time because people stress their heart so much that it leads to a heart attack.
Hardware store managers say you should prepare your car if you get stuck in a snowstorm by having blankets, bottles of water, small snacks, and a cell phone with a flashlight app.
You got to create an emergency preparedness kit for your car, which should include some high-protein snacks, some emergency flashlights, a battery backup, ice melt to melt the ice, kitty litter, sand for traction and visibility, your windshield de-icer, and also hand warmers to keep yourself warm. So be prepared. That's the biggest thing coming this weekend.
That was Mark Slavitt reporting. If you find yourself getting easily winded while shoveling snow, it's best to stop right away and ask for help. Zach will be back with an update on the forecast for Saturday after this.
To a special edition of KRCG 13 live at sunrise on this Saturday morning. You're looking live over the city of Columbia where some snow still falling. A lot of folks in Columbia picking up around 10 inches or at least waking up to 10 inches of snowfall on the ground. A lot of snow falling on the trees. That has caused a few power outages around the Columbia area. And in Jefferson City, snow still falling here on our Scruggs Lumber Skycam. Road crews here on High Street. You can see some tracks out in the snow, but not able to see much past the Capitol building here, which is about 1/8 of a mile away from our camera. So snow is still falling across the area, and it's looking pretty good. We've seen a lot of your snowman photos. We enjoy seeing those. Please keep those coming. Winter storm warning for the Columbia, Jefferson City, Fulton areas down through Lynn, east into St. Louis, now extended to 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. The rest of us still looking to expire at midnight tonight. Max 13 radar has done a great job of tracking all of the snow for us overnight tonight. Still picking up on the moderate bands of snow heading into St. Louis. The thing that we're seeing here this morning are some of these drier areas of mixing in with the snowstorm. That is going to cut some of the totals down, or at least give us some windows of no snow here through the later part of our morning, but still a few areas of some moderate banding moving into the mid-Missouri area with some heavy snow just to the south of Camdenton right now in those brighter blue areas. A little bit of light rain has been reported near Fort Leonard Wood this morning, mixing in with that snow, and temperatures, as you can see, are here right around 30 to about 32 degrees. Futurecast picks up on some of those drier pockets and even some of that rain that looks to lift a little farther north here into maybe parts of the lake area south of Jefferson City over to Vienna and Vichy here through the noon hour. And then the cold air continues to push in, and we'll find those drier pockets impacting us later this afternoon with light snow through the late afternoon and early part of the evening before things really begin to taper off late tonight into the morning on Sunday. But we will find a possibility for some more snow, I think, around the at least east of Highway 63 going into Sunday morning. So most locations are going to find themselves between 6 to 12 inches. Lesser totals near the lake. Higher totals will be along I-70 and even to the east into St. Louis, where we found a couple areas already over 12 inches. The high side, I think we could be approaching 16, maybe even 17 inches of snow. We'll find light, steady snow as we go through the day today. 3 to 5 additional inches of snow going to be possible on top of what we already have out there, with high temperatures climbing into the mid-30s here through the afternoon. We are going to dip into the upper 20s in a few spots tomorrow morning. That could create a few little slick issues early Sunday morning if some church services are still in, but I suspect we have quite a few church closings as we look ahead to your Sunday. We will find drier weather towards the middle of the week and warming up into the 40s, Kermit, with some melting ahead.
Thank you, Zach. We have team coverage of this storm. Got reporters all over the mid-Missouri area. We're going to go to Lexi Petrovich in Jefferson City. Lexi?
Well, Kermit,
I'm going to take my hood off and
off the roads yet. I actually rode along with MoDOT last night in a snowplow, and he was kind of explaining to me, the crew member that I drove with was kind of explaining to me how the whole process works as to which areas they cover. And he says there are 2 crew members that are dedicated to Highway 50 and 2 other crew members that are dedicated to Highway 54 throughout the Jefferson City area. So between those 4 crew members and some other crews that are out on the roads, they are responsible for that whole area. Of course, last night it was a bit difficult to cover. He explained to me that it was really hard to go throughout the night and keep up with the snow. At one point, the pavement was completely covered and really difficult to see. He says that they're doing their best to keep up with it, but they've pretty much maxed out their staff for what they have right now. So they're doing their best, but if they can't do their job and clear those roads, then obviously you won't be able to see where you're driving, and it makes it extra dangerous for you. So of course, as we've stressed throughout this whole broadcast, and as we'll continue to stress throughout this storm, make sure to stay inside and enjoy some of this winter storm from indoors and try not to be out in it. Reporting live in Jefferson City, Lexi Petrovich, KRCG 13.
Lexi, thank you. Elizabeth Hoffman is in Rosebud, Missouri. That's on Highway 50, about an hour or so east of Jefferson City. Pretty much the same story there, Liz?
Yes, Kermit, good morning. And yeah, it's the snow just continues to fall here. We know that we've got at least 5 inches here, and as you can see, that is not the final measure. Highway 50 right here behind me, you can see not a lot of traffic at all. What we are seeing here in Rosebud is people are starting to come out and take a look for themselves. I'm going to step out of the frame and let you see what we're finding here this morning. You can see there's a couple guys out here that are shoveling their snow, which is something that a lot of us here in Missouri will be doing today. Of course, we heard Mark Slavitt talking about the dangers that can come with that, and we always want to keep our safety in mind as this can be strenuous work. But definitely, as you can see, Highway 50 very clear. And very clear as far as traffic goes. The few vehicles that have went by, inching by, but for the most part, Kermit, I am finding that here in Gasconade County, people are taking the advice of both the Highway Patrol and MoDOT, and they're staying home, which is not a bad idea. We'll send it back to you in the studio. I'm live in Rosebud. Elizabeth Hoffman, KRCG 13.
If you did not make it to the store before the snow hit, you probably don't want to make that trip now. We caught up with shoppers at the Hy-Vee in Jefferson City earlier this week as they rushed to purchase last-minute essentials before the storm hit. Many customers rushed in to grab the things that they know they wouldn't have on their shelves for very long, you know, milk, bread, toilet paper, eggs. None of those in any particular order. Shoppers we spoke with were most concerned that they might not be able to get to the grocery store over the weekend.
We got a lot of 7-Up so that, you know, vitamin C, keep your water, TV dinners, and we got meat just in case, because you never know whether or not you're going to be able to do outdoor cooking or indoor cooking.
Right now, I'm actually getting ice cream and bread and medication.
And of course, you can't have too many soft drinks. The assistant store manager there says most of the items purchased during storms are the key things that we told you about: bread, milk, water, and canned goods. See much more than that because of this snow. As we've mentioned, this has been pretty much an Interstate 70 storm. Started in the Rockies, came through Denver, only about 1 to 3 inches of snow there, though. Gets to Kansas City and starts to suck in a whole lot of Gulf moisture and nearly doubles in size in terms of snowfall totals between Kansas City and St. Louis. And now the cities along the I-70 corridor east of St. Louis, Indianapolis, Columbus, getting prepared for pretty much the same kind of thing that we are seeing here now. We want to go back to Zach Paul. Zach, are they expecting that same stuff in the east, and what happens to it when it gets there?
Well, yeah, the disadvantage, so to speak, that we have here is, yeah, as you mentioned, as it moves out of Denver, it taps into the Gulf of Mexico. That's the advantage we have of living between two mountain ranges. That moisture from the Gulf surges north. It collides with some of those cold air snaps that spill south out of Canada. And when they get picked up by a storm system and we're in the right location, this is what we get. Yeah, so this storm has grown significantly. As you mentioned, it is going to continue to move to the east, and it will bring some implications to traveling to the East Coast. So this is something that, while it's impacting us now, we're going to be hearing about this storm for the next couple of days as it does move its way into the East Coast. In the meantime, Max 13 radar still showing some of those moderate snow showers moving into the St. Louis metro area. We are finding some drier air now starting to show up on the radar. So this is going to give us a little bit of a window where we'll find some drier air, maybe some less snow, maybe even a break from the snow besides a little bit of blowing snow, but still looking at a few light to moderate snow bands, even south of Jefferson City down to about Lake Ozark, Osage Beach, and off to the west. But if you get towards Warsaw and even just to the west of Richland here, we're finding some really heavy blues or dark blues, and those are going to be some really quick little snow bursts. So visibility is going to be drastically reduced in those areas. We're looking at temperatures right around 32 degrees right now, which is still conducive for snow growth. The other thing we have to have is ice in the clouds. And as we go through the late part of the afternoon, it does look like, according to the latest data, that we'll lose some of that ice in the clouds. And so we'll start to lose a little bit of that snow growth potential, but we'll continue to find quite a bit of snow, I think, as we go through the day-to-day. Futurecast picks up on a lot of that, picks up on some of the drier air, even mixing a little bit of rain in with that snow from the lake area east to Vienna and Vichy, south through Rolla and Fort Leonard Wood and Waynesville areas, while north of I-70, or at least north of Highway 50 along I-70 and north, we'll still see the potential for a couple more inches of snow. In fact, 3 to 5 inches of additional snowfall will be possible, especially for those areas north of I-70. South of there and south of Highway 50 from the lake area, I still think 1 to 3 inches additional on top of what you have. Right now, a lot of you only have 2 to 3, some maybe a little bit more than that. And I still think a lot of our snow totals are going to end up close to 6 to 12 inches. But this thing begins to wind down here late tonight and overnight tonight. And I still think we'll find a little bit of light snow overnight into the morning on Sunday, especially for areas east of Highway 54 into St. Louis. And we could even see a little bit of light drizzle possible early Sunday morning. And depending on where temperatures are at, that could be freezing drizzle. As we go through the forecast for the rest of today, temperatures are going to be steady in the low to mid 30s, steady to light snow, a northeast wind at 10 miles per hour. Temperatures down in the 20s again to start your Sunday morning. We'll warm to the low 30s again tomorrow. Sunshine pops back out on Monday. We'll start to get quite a bit of melting once the sun does, and especially as we get into the 40s. But with the snow that we have on the ground right now, I think it's going to last for several more days. Elise is standing by. She is live in Columbia with a look at how conditions are in Columbia.
Hey, Zach and Kermit. While you guys have been standing in the nice warm studio, Hannah and I have been out here in the snow for about an hour, and we look like snowmen now. But we've also been monitoring these road conditions pretty diligently this morning because that is going to be the biggest impact headed forward. The snow has been steady throughout the morning, so roads will likely be snow covered as the snow falls all the way through the morning, afternoon, and even into the evening. So if you are planning to maybe head out today, the first thing you're going to need to do is, well, dig yourself out today. But we are going to continue to monitor these roads because as snow starts to fall, people drive on the roads, the snow will get packed into the asphalt and could turn icy. So we might be even dealing with icy roads later today. So it is just the best day to stay inside, stay warm, maybe venture out for a little bit to check on conditions in your neighborhood. But besides that, it's going to be a snow-filled weekend. I'll send it back into the studio to you guys in the nice warm studio.
Doing her best to make us feel guilty. The heavy snowfall, of course, is nothing new to central Missouri. You saw Elise with her shovel there. MU healthcare doctors say some people need to be reminded that heavy snow or icy conditions can be threatening. Shoveling, sometimes even just walking through thick snow or even pushing a snow blower can cause a quick increase in your blood pressure. You combine that with the cold air and a decrease in oxygen to your heart, it can build a recipe for disaster to your health, potentially triggering a deadly heart attack.
People sometimes don't realize how exertional it can be to shovel snow, and they may not have done exercise for a very long time or may be very out of shape. And if you're shoveling large quantities of snow, it can put a stress on your heart. And hospitals actually see a rise in heart attacks around that time because people stress their heart so much that it leads to a heart attack.
If you find yourself getting winded easily while shoveling your sidewalks, it is important to get some help. Try asking a neighbor or hiring a local plow company. Back to wrap up in a moment. But say the last decade, you will recall the famous Groundhog Day blizzard of 2011. And you might remember those 16, 17, 18 inches of snow that we had across the region then, paralyzing in its nature. I don't know how close we're going to get to that this time, but everybody who went through that has that memory in mind.
Well, you know, we're not far off from that. I mean, a lot of folks have been waking up this morning with a foot of snow already on the ground. Officially out at Columbia Regional at 6 a.m. there was 14.5 inches of snow, and we're still going to find snow falling for at least the next 8 to 10 hours of I think a steady clip of snow. And I think it's very likely that we could reach that 17-inch mark out at Columbia Regional Airport, which would then put us within, it's been quite a while. It might be one of the top 5 snowfalls where we've picked up that much. You can see Versailles here, a little less amount for the Versailles area. And that's what I'm finding for areas down around the lake area, is that we are finding maybe some 2 to 4 inch amounts for the lake area. Versailles, I know you guys have got close to 9 in a few areas. Brazito 8, Williamsburg there through Callaway County, and Fulton there over 13 inches of snow. Mocaine has about a foot of snow. Montgomery City east on Highway 70 there and just a little north, over 10 inches. Middleton nearby there as well with a foot of snow. Lake Mikey, in fact, just down the road from us here at the station with 11 inches. And here's a look at that. The last time we've had these significant snowfalls, again, the last time we had a 10 or a 12-inch snowfall, you have to go back to the Groundhog Day blizzard. We did pick up 17.5. It was more than that when you factored in the February 2nd, but in that one day we picked up 17.5, and that's what we're finding here with a lot of these. Now, Max 13 radar, we are still finding a lot of that, and because of the rain or the snow that's still falling, we still have winter storm warnings that are going to go the rest of the day into the morning tomorrow. And here is Max 13 radar, and the one thing that I'm finding that might put a smile on a few of your faces is that we will get a little of a break. This is definitely going to be good for the road crews, is the gap where we're finding there just south of the lake and west of Sedalia, where we're not finding anything showing up on the radar. That's a dry little pocket, and right now it's becoming a bigger pocket, so that will allow for some snow to subside here as we go through the remainder of our morning and allow a lot of those road crews to catch up. So that is some good news for those road crews that are going to be out and about working throughout the day today. Temperature is going to be fairly steady. We're in the low to lower 30s right now, about 30 to about 33 degrees, and temperatures may warm another degree or two as we go through the day, but total snowfall accumulation will approach 14 to 16 inches for some. Areas around the lake I still think will hit up maybe to 7 to 9 inches. And of course, if you're in between from north of I-70 to the lake area, we're going to be all in between. But on top of what we have outside right now, an additional 3 to 5 inches of snow still going to be possible. We'll get some melting next week as sunshine return in the 40s. I know.
All right. We do thank you for being with us on this special edition of KRCG 13 live at sunrise. Be safe. Stay inside if you can. We will have a wrap up of what goes on today on KRCG 13 live at 6.